Hari Yes.
So, when you are talking about richness of experiences, are you disregarding disregarding contents of your experience?
You need not disregard it, but you need not take it so serious also.
Whether good or bad or great or minor.
I mean, good and bad are relative, but there are actions, there are situations that create pain and suffering, and it's simply not natural.
But when you look back, after so many years, it can be a pretty great experience.
The past is there with all the memories, but the mistake that we are making is that we are emotionally still hooked to those memories. That we feed our life force in those memories and then awake it and give it a life it does not deserve. But actually, the memories is a wealth of experience. And we don't have to somehow knock our head on the wall and get rid of that memory to be in the present. You can very well have all that memory, and out of that storehouse of information, you always throw whatever is necessary for the present moment. It's not that we have to disregard it in the sense that to push it away as not existing, but it's existing as a memory. Not as a reality that we are necessarily emotionally hooked into it. And if we are,
then why are we getting more richer by experience?
Mature. Richer.
Yeah.
Because somehow it's harnessing something subtly very beautiful. Just going through the trouble of being alive. Just that miraculous combination of consciousness tied somehow to a body, facing all the limitations that come along with it, facing that continuous pull and push of pleasant, unpleasant, pleasant, unpleasant. It's always creating some kind of tension. If we learn to be detached from it, then it's not a problem. If we are attached to it, then we are always, it's a drag, then we're always being pushed left and right by whatever is happening and suffering hell. But even that suffering is not in vain, because it's harnessing something very subtly that simply is there with that being. And everybody who goes through that at some point consciously will look back and reap the fruit of all that. In the midst of it we may not be conscious, but there is an enriching going on from moment to moment.
Can it come to an end without physical death?
If it can come to an end without
physical death.
Yeah. No, it continues all the time, even after that. But what can come to an end is that process is always pulling us into a story that we are hooking into that me, the other, and are in pain because of that. But the process of expanding, of accumulating, is continuing all the time. Actually, it's really getting manifold if you stop identifying, if you stop being in pain. It's not that eventually you come to a point and bang, that's now I got it all. That's the end of the story. It's more like when we stop getting pulled into the old grooves of the me, I and the others, and continuously that struggle, that fighting, then finally it starts. It's not the end. But then that process is more powerful, more efficient, playful, joyous.
И этот процесс более эффективен,
But it doesn't end.
игрив, более радостным становится.
It's simply the nature of consciousness to be expansive.
Природа сознания в том, что
And if we try to force consciousness in a little bubble, then it's painful. And as long as we are restricting our conscious experience to that idea we have about ourselves and the world, that me image, then it's usually a painful business because consciousness wants to expand. And there we go round and round and round, and I, me, mine, the whole day long. And people suffer. If we stop doing that, then that process of getting enriched will still continue, but we stop suffering. Nobody compels us to suffer except what we are doing to ourselves. But even that suffering is not in vain. But we don't have to go on. When I say don't take the damn story so serious, I don't mean you have to discard the experience. On that relative level, you can very well accumulate knowledge, you can very well accumulate wisdom, learn from the situations. But then we are not more afraid all the time making a mistake. Sometimes we may react in a situation and after that, down the road, come to the conclusion, maybe it was not so fortunate how I acted, so what? Then we are richer for the experience, wiser for the experience. But if you think, oh my God, what I have done, what are they are thinking about me again, and then there we are locked in the past and feed our life force, getting drained and missing that which is alive, here, now. There is only one point where we are touching reality. Now. All else is in the mind. Now. It's such a totally different category. Moment before is just a thought, it's a memory. Nothing wrong with that memory. But let's not waste our life force being concerned about was it right, was it wrong, what he did, how could they say this to me, and emotionally always go round and round and missing that bubbling, beautiful essence that is happening now, timelessly now, only now. You still can enjoy a memory. A memory springs up. I remember a happy moment. It brings joy in the moment, but you are now aware of the joy it produces. The memory comes up, it's an unpleasant moment. It has the tendency to bring up not a very pleasant emotion, but it's now. And if you are staying in the present, then you don't mind that emotion. If you are not attached to it, then also the so-called unpleasant, the negative emotions are quite enjoyable. Actually, people know that even so-called negative emotions, if we are not feeding them and making them bigger and bigger and bigger enough that we are totally overwhelmed by that, that they are quite enjoyable. Everybody knows that fear can give quite a kick. Why would anyone go on a roller coaster? There you go up, you go up, you go up.
эту пропасть.
enjoying the fear it
Не
produces.
наслаждайтесь страхом.
Why are people so crazy about action movies?
А почему людям нравятся
Sitting there on the
боевики?
chair.
Боятся там, что люди там
Feeling safe enough in their chair that they are not being hurt, but enjoying the fear.
в кресле, но они наслаждаются этим страхом.
But if we are getting afraid, if we are thinking of something can happen, and that fear hooks in, and we are turning it around and churning it around and make it bigger and bigger, then it becomes terror and people suffer hell simply because we build up that fear.
Они сами увеличивают этот страх, увлекаются в него.
Then the emotion is being fed and gets totally out of proportion.
И эта эмоция, она настолько увеличивается.
But we are doing that with our mind. We pick up an emotion and then somehow feed it,
Мы берем какую-то
fighting
эмоцию,
with
начинаем
it, that we feed it out also.
Если вы боретесь с
Getting
этой
totally
эмоцией, также вы ее подпитываете.
Hooked into it, we feed it.
Если вы цепляетесь за нее, вы
Resisting and think it shouldn't be like that, we feed it and it's getting bigger.
Вы подпитываете, и эта эмоция все увеличивается, увеличивается.
If we stop doing that,
Если вы
then
перестанете это делать,
the whole range of emotions is still there,
то все виды эмоций
making
будут
the human
возможны,
experience a bit more juicy,
но вот ваш человеческий опыт
but
станет более
they are
сочным.
at their own place. They are just waves, they come, they
Эти
go,
эмоции
they
просто
don't
волны,
leave a
которые
trace.
перед вами возникают.
It's only when we somehow hook into them and make them big, then they are crushing us.
Цепляетесь в них, то они могут вас разбить.
As long as this human form exists, then
Пока есть человеческое тело, живо,
that flavor is still there from the past. But if we become aware we are just playing a role, then we are not
будет оставаться эта
victims of
личность.
it.
Но если вы
Still,
не
I mean, as long as this Brian form exists,
этого,
you will be capable of cracking bones. He's a master of that. You will have your memories and the wisdom that comes with it. You may not have the memory and the wisdom the neighbor has,
останутся ваши воспоминания,
but still you can be aware, okay, this Brian story is just a role that I'm playing. There is something way beyond that.
жизненная история.
And so then you play that story. As long as the form appears, you keep on playing, knowing it's just a game. But we can, back to the question, we can discard a lot of stuff that we usually holding on to.
Мы можем как бы,
Somebody says
отказаться от
something
неких вещей, за которые мы цепляемся.
Insulting.
Ну, кто-то вас оскорбил.
Then we may react, but then it's usually not simply that moment,
Но обычно не
and
надо.
after then we are at home, sit there and brood about it, and how could he say it, and churning it around and keep on getting angry and keep on draining our life force. And that part, we can see that we are doing that and learn then to drop that, to relax that.
Будет осознать это. И отбросить, расслабиться.
You are what you are.
Вы тот, кто вы.
Sometimes people praise you, sometimes people insult you,
Нравится, что вы делаете, они
you're still
награждают,
what you
но
are.
нет. Но вы остаетесь сами собой.
But as long as we are dependent with our self-image from the feedback that we are getting from the world, then we are extremely vulnerable and hold on to that. And that part we can discard.
Вот от этого нужно
Not
отказаться.
do that anymore.
Не нужно это делать.
Not the experience itself, but all the sticky emotional stuff that we are hanging on to it, that we can learn to discard.
И сам опыт, который вы получаете, эти эмоции, которые вы накладываете.